All thanks and praise is due to the basis foundation. God is most great. None has the right to be worshipped but you. Hello everyone, it's Stepdogg the Hip Hop Prophet, and I'm here with the next video in the YouTube series. And the name of this video is The Book of Revelation Revealed, Part 48, The New Jerusalem, The Bride of the Lamb, Section 1. I'm going to break this up into two sections. Okay, this is the first section that I'm going to read to you. One of the seven angels who had the seven bowls full of the seven last plagues came and said to me, "Come, I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb." And he carried me away in the Spirit to a mountain great and high, and showed me the holy city, Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God. It shone with the glory of God, and its brilliance was like that of a precious jewel, like a jasper, clear as crystal. It had a great high wall with 12 gates, and with 12 angels at the gates. On the gates were written the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. There were 3 gates on the east, 3 on the north, 3 on the south, and 3 on the west. The wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them were the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. The angel who talked with me had a measuring rod of gold to measure the city, its gates, and its walls. The city was laid out like a square, as long as it was wide. He measured the city with the rod and found it to be 12,000 stadia in length, and as wide and high as it is long. The angel measured the wall using human measurement, and it was 144 cubits thick. The wall was made of jasper, and the city of pure gold, as pure as glass. The foundations of the city walls were decorated with every kind of precious stone. Excuse me. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third agate, the fourth emerald, the fifth onyx, the sixth ruby, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th turquoise, the 11th jacinth, and the 12th amethyst. The 12 gates were 12 pearls. Each gate made of a single pearl. The great street of the city was of gold, as pure as transparent glass. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. And we're just going to go through this part right now. Okay. One of the seven angels who had the seven bowls came up to me and said, "Come, I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb." Okay. It's the bride for God. The reason, like I explained in the prior section, the reason it's the bride for God, it's not that God needs a bride or a partner, but basically that is the bride of God, because this city is huge when I describe its dimensions. Like it's a country. That's the way I look at it. That's how big it is. In our terms of things. In our understanding of what a city and a nation is. And basically, that's God's bride in this sense. Not that God needs a partner, not that God would ever begot anything, but it is a nation of peoples that is totally submissive to God, following the golden rule, saying 100 prayers every day to God, totally loyal and totally obedient to God. And that's what makes this city the bride of God. It is also the wife of the Lamb, because like I said, that's going to be my project during the 40 years following the end of the 7 plagues of, the 7 bowls of God's wrath and all of God's wrath. After that, we're going to start to build the great city of God. That's going to be my project for 40 years. Excuse me. Why is it 40 years? Because after the plagues in Egypt, Moses had 40 years with the Jews, but he rejected the golden rule, so they had to wander around in the desert. Solomon, after God told him what the golden rule was and he became king, he had a 40-year reign. That's known as the golden era of, the Jewish kingdoms. That's why I have 40 years. That's how God does it. That's what God likes to do. And that's what makes it my bride, because that's going to be my project to work on for God after the wrath of God is complete. Okay. And he carried me away in the spirit to a mountain great and high, and showed me the holy city, Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God. It shone with the glory of God, and its brilliance was like that of a precious jewel, like jasper, clear as crystal. Well, you got to realize, God had Solomon build a glass palace, and it looked magical. When the Queen of Sheba saw it, she was like, what? She thought it was like a sea of glass coming at her. And she was scared. She was like, what's that? And then when she realized, it's like, wow, that's made of glass. It's going to be something that incredible to look at. Like, it is going to be that beautiful. Like I said, Solomon built something like that, but it was destroyed because, the Jews didn't deserve it. So the great city is going to look that magical. It had a great wall. It had a great high wall with 12 gates and with 12 angels at the gates. On the gates were written the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. There were 3 gates on the east, north, south, and west. The wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them were the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Okay, well, there's going to be 12 gates into this great city. 3 on each side of the city. And they're going to be named after the 12 tribes of Israel. As far as the foundations of the wall, the apostles of the Lamb, myself, I definitely don't have 12 apostles right now. So as the wall's being built, I will name a foundation after somebody who I considered, a loyal person to the cause and everything else. The first person is obviously Hollywood. Now, he's a prophet, so, I feel right then and there he deserves, that distinction. So the first foundation is going to be named after Hollywood. There's no doubt. Okay, now we get into describing the dimensions of the city and some stuff. Okay, the angel who talked with me had a measuring rod of gold, to measure the city, its gates, and its walls. The city was laid out like a square as long as it is wide. So the city is literally going to be in the shape of a square. That's going to be its geographical shape. He measured the city with the rod and found it to be 12,000 stadia in length, and as wide and high as it is long. So that means that this, basically 12,000 stadia is 1,400 miles. 1,400 miles or 2,200 kilometers. So that means the city is going to be 1,400 miles from east to west, and I already measured that from Philadelphia. That would be the border of Nebraska and Colorado. That's how big this city is going to be. And it's also going to extend that far north and south. Also, it's going to be that high. 1,400 miles high. I don't know how high our atmosphere is. Scientists would know that. I didn't look that up because, I'm just reading this now, and I'm more concerned about, north, south, east to west, because how high it goes, that just means it's going up to heaven. 1,400 miles high. I don't know how many miles are in our atmosphere, but that is high. That's higher than any mountain we have right now. You know what I mean? There might be some mountains that are over 10,000 feet high, but that's feet. That's like 2 miles or 2.5 miles. Well, no, they call Denver, they call Denver Mile High Stadium, and that's in the Rockies. So, that's 1 mile above sea level. This is 1,400 miles. Okay, so that just tells you it extends up into the heavens. Okay, so The angel measured the wall using human measurements, and its wall was 144 cubits thick. Okay, 144 cubits, that's the equivalent of 200 feet or 65 meters. And also there's a little footnote here that thick can also mean high. So this wall is going to be 200 feet high, and it is going to surround the entire city. So in other words, this wall is going to make the Great Wall of China look like an absolute joke. Okay. Then it goes into all, you know, the wall was made of jasper. I don't know what jasper is. I hate to say that. I have to look that up. You know what I mean? In fact, what I'm going to do right now. What is jasper?
Okay, check it out.
Oh, they give me some stupid stuff. Yeah, so I'm sorry. But anyway, basically it describes there's 12 foundations to the wall, and each of them possesses a distinct individual gemstone. Now this is what I want to explain about this. I'm not going to go through the list of the gemstones again. But basically, when I received the collar from my firstborn son, the collar is going to be the most beautiful thing you ever seen. And basically, when I hold the clasp and the latch of the collar like this, and the gemstones are facing you, you're going to see the gemstones that God wants us to use in the wall, because the collar is going to be decorated with 12 different layers of different gemstones. And that's how we're going to know what type of gemstones to use. I mean, obviously, you know, they say onyx and topaz and turquoise, but some of these names, it even says, you know, the identification of the precious stones are uncertain. So, you know, the collar will be analyzed to know which stones need to be used in each foundation. But just like the collar has magical powers with my son, basically, you know, the devil has possession of him, but while he wears the collar acts as a shield and protects his head and his mind from the devil affecting it. The devil can still affect the body, but the devil cannot affect the mind. And basically, this wall surrounding the city is going to serve the same purpose. You know what I mean? And the protection is always from above it. You know what I mean? That's why the great city comes down from heaven, and the wall serves as the protection going up to heaven. That city will be protected by God, you know, because of the wall. And that is very important to understand about this wall, and also how it is directly connected to the collar. The collar is going to be a blueprint for the wall. The rod is going to serve as the blueprint for the city, because God's going to tell me, build this there, build that there. God wants this built like this. Just like God did to Noah, just like God did with Solomon, just like God did with Moses, just like God has done over and over again through the prophets. Same thing. The 12 gates were 12 pearls, each gate made of a single pearl. The great street of the city was of gold, as pure as transparent glass. Okay, obviously a lot of the city is made of gold. The reason for that is because with the volcanic eruptions, everybody knows that, you know, precious elements come up with the volcanic eruptions and the lava flows. These lava flows that occur during the hour of judgment are going to bring enormous amounts of gold to the surface. Enormous amounts. To the point where gold isn't even going to be considered precious anymore. It's going to be so common, it's like, that's not even a precious metal. And basically, God's going to want us to collect the metal, you know, refine it, and then build a city with it. So, I mean, however God wants that done, God's going to give me the instructions. But basically, this city is going to be more beautiful and more majestic than the glass palace that Solomon built for God. So, that is the New Jerusalem, the Bride of the Lamb, section 1. All thanks and praises due to the Basis Foundation. God is most great. None has the right to be worshipped but you.